everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. My friends on Instagram chose today's topic. Every weekend I give my followers usually 3 or 4 options for topics that they want to see next week, and that's what I did. So you can follow me on Instagram at the Flutey Feminist to have your say. Today's topic, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on conductors in the classical music world, both positive and negative, don't worry. In case you don't know, a conductor is basically the person waving a stick around at the front of an ensemble, usually an orchestra. They basically lead the musicians, and you know, I've played under many conductors in my life, and I wanted to share my opinions on what I've noticed over the years. Disclaimer, I'm not a conductor. I'm not an expert on the art, despite my having taken a basic conducting course in my undergrad. So I do still completely respect conductors and what they do and how they do it. It's a lot of work, it's not easy, and I totally respect that. However, the way the classical music world builds the role of the conductor has historically become problematic, in my opinion. A little bit of history, conductors, as we know them now, didn't really exist or have a function until approximately the late 18th century. So before then, it would be a musician, so the concertmaster, who is a violinist, would lead the orchestra as they were playing. But over time, naturally, music became more complex, especially in terms of like tempos, slowing down, speeding up. There was a lot more nuance to music, so the orchestra needed to have a more kind of objective, full-time leader. Since the music became complex, obviously the violinists had enough to worry about in terms of playing their parts, so it would have been too much to ask of the concertmaster to also lead the orchestra. I'm sure there's more to that history than what I'm saying, but that's basically it. So as time went on though, I feel like the role of the conductor basically became more important than that of the musicians. It's kind of as if musicians are just puppets. And by 2019, there are countless stories and anecdotes of the tyrannical conductor. In general, I've observed that most, not all, but most professional and famous conductors are overly strict, extremely demanding, egotistical, and downright abusive. Now, this is slowly changing. Obviously, you know, nowadays orchestras have unions, and in general, our culture is demanding that workplace environments be safer and healthier. But the classical music world still upholds the conductor as a leader who does no wrong, can treat musicians however they want, and whose musical genius provides an excuse for any and all behavior. Thankfully, I haven't experienced only that kind of conductor, but for example, I've heard conductors yell at musicians, like angry screaming. They've made fun of musicians, told us we didn't practice or basically are fooling around when it's pretty clear that we weren't, and all sorts of other really not so nice stuff. This may not seem like so awful. I'm sure people have suffered worse under bosses. I know they have. But at the end of the day, like what really is negative is that musicians get tense and anxious and play from a place of fear. Now, to me, it doesn't matter whether the music quality, which is a result of this playing, is good or bad. What matters is that musicians are playing from fear. That's neither fun nor healthy. The worst part though is that as musicians, we kind of just take it. Actually, the worst part is that we end up praising it most of the time. How many times have I, and have you, if you're a musician friend listening, you know, heard a conductor yell at a section or single someone out and embarrass them, and then afterwards we were just kind of like, well, I mean, they didn't practice, so like obviously the conductor was going to yell at them, or we just basically say that the conductor's vision is too important and we just have to kind of do what they say. It doesn't matter what they tell us. We'll just play and we just have to do everything they say, and it doesn't matter how they treat us. Our culture praises the tyrannical conductor, and then we wonder how we end up with men such as James Levine and Charles Dutoit, who are abusers and harassers. It's also not a coincidence that professional conductors tend to mostly be men. There are, again, countless articles online that you can find that maybe you have read, even if you're not a musician, by conductors stating why women can't conduct. Their opinions range from the fact that women, their beauty would be too distracting to the musicians, all the way to, again, the fact that apparently women are not strong enough leaders to be able to lead such large and amazing orchestras. It's all bogus, obviously, but our culture basically demands conductors who are power-hungry egomaniacs for the sake of the art. So I understand why women either don't want to go into the field or are not given opportunities in the field. As I mentioned, I have worked with lovely conductors, sometimes friends of mine or peers of mine, and what I've noticed from those conductors is that they respect musicians as human beings and they collaborate with musicians instead of treating them like subjects of an authoritarian regime. Also, at school, in my opinion, conductors of ensembles should be teachers. I mean, they are teachers, but sometimes they act like, the school ensemble is a professional orchestra, meaning that they can, again, treat the musicians however they want, which is usually badly. Musicians end up having more fun when conductors act more as respectful teachers, and we end up learning more and producing really great music. I'll admit that part of my being unsure of whether I want to pursue an orchestral career or not is due to the types of conductors that I know are out there. I know professional musicians who hate their conductor, but why should they have to give up their spot in an amazing orchestra? It sucks either way. It's unfair that so many musicians have suffered and continue to suffer under these not so nice conductors. It can make you hate playing music, which to me is really awful. We're creative people. We love what we do. We're in a field of making music, which is so enjoyable. And yet there are so many people right now who are in orchestras who probably actually hate going to work because of their conductor and how the conductor treats them. They make them anxious and worried and scared to play. What also sucks is that we still believe that great music making matters more than the mental health of musicians. We don't care what Dutoit did because look at where the OSM is now. That's gotta stop, in my opinion. Produce mediocre music. Who cares? The thing is, though, we know firsthand from conductors such as Yannick Nézet-Séguin that you can be a really kind, respectful, and lovely conductor and still produce world-class music like he does. He's one of the most famous and prolific conductors of our time. So we know that this exists. We don't have to settle for less. To my musician peers out there, learn to recognize the signs of an abusive conductor and, when possible, say something. This could be, honestly, as simple as an anonymous teacher evaluation at school, which I have done. I have given comments about conductors that I found were abusive, and no one needed to know. I mean, I'm sure no one even did anything, but at least I said something. But it could also go so far as going to the HR of your professional orchestra if you feel like your conductor makes your workplace toxic. Conductors are not more important than you, despite what music critics and teachers, etc., would have us think. They are collaborators, and they have to respect musicians as much as musicians have been taught to respect them. So let's try and make the classical music world a little less toxic. Yeah? Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you if you have watched my other videos. I have a few, I think 5 other ones so far, and I'm really enjoying making them. So make sure to like and share this video. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking here or the subscribe button below. You can check out my flute performance video right over there. And over here is my latest video that hopefully you will watch after this one. Thanks so much and have a Flutey Feminist day. Bye!